Hello, dear viewers. Lesson here on Elimu TV, and today we are going to talk about oral literature. And whenever you see oral literature, know that it is story time here at Elimu TV. So grab your cup of coffee, adjust your TV's volume, sit back, and enjoy. Before we continue with our lesson, start by requesting you to kindly talk to us. We value your feedback. Send us an SMS through 22518. Once again, 22518. Follow us on Facebook at Facebook. Our page is Elimu TV, or Twitter handle, which is at Elimu_KE. I am your English teacher, Sally. And before we start, let us talk about the general stories that we have in our English lesson. We have oral narratives. And oral narratives is a term that covers a number of different types of stories. The different types of stories in oral literature are classified into classes known as genres. And these genres, or these categories of English stories, fall into myths, legends, trickster stories, etiological or explanatory stories, dilemma tales, and ogre or monster stories. We could be having others. Today I want us to talk about one genre of oral narratives, and the genre is etiological or the explanatory stories. So whenever we talk about etiological or the explanatory stories, these are the kind of stories that seek to explain the cause of certain characteristics among the creation. Stories about places, stories about people, and where they got certain characteristics from. The giraffe, you could talk about a story explaining why the giraffe has a long neck. The hyena, we could have a story explaining why the hyena has shorter hind limbs. We could talk about the donkey. We could have a story on why the donkey has no horns but has long ears, and so much more. So, for example, is a story that explains why the hyena has shorter hind limbs, or why the tortoise has a cracked shell. This property, however, should never be mistaken with that of myths. Remember, we talked about myths, and we say that myths are defined as religious tales or religious stories that explain a community's origin or the origin of various natural phenomena, such as the cause of death. So an etiological story should never be confused with a myth. And let us look at the features of explanatory stories. What features do these genres exhibit? Features of explanatory stories. Feature number 1 is that these stories, the stories about why the giraffe has a long neck and why the hyena has shorter hind limbs, why the cow has horns, why the tortoise has a cracked shell, and so much more. We say that explanatory stories seek to explain the reason behind certain physical characteristics borne by what is in the environment. So that is the first feature of explanatory stories. The feature number 2 is that these stories are culture specific. Reasons behind certain characteristics could vary from among communities. For example, the reason behind the giraffe's long neck could be different among communities. One community would argue that maybe the giraffe acquired its long neck from God. Another one will say that the giraffe acquired long neck from peeping from top of trees. Another one will possibly say that the giraffe long neck from drinking deep in the well, and so much more. Next, we have etiological stories have an opening and a closing formula, the latter being a statement that gives the explanation. Whenever we talk about the opening and the closing formula, we are talking about that start of a story that goes, once upon a time, in a land far, far away, or there once lived isn't that? Those are the kind of openings that we call the opening formulas and the closing formulas, and we are saying in etiological stories or in explanatory stories, the closing formula being a statement that gives the explanation or the reason behind the whole story. For example, as a story on why the giraffe has a long neck would end with a statement like, and that is why the giraffe has a long neck. Or that is why the bat sleeps in an upside down position. Having said all that about explanatory stories, it's now time to listen to one explanatory stories. So watch the following video and learn why the tiger has stripes on his skin.
Many years ago, when the jungle was young, the proudest animal was not the peacock. No, the proudest animal in the jungle was Tiger. Tiger was proud of his long fangs. Tiger was proud of his sharp claws and big paws. Tiger was most proud of his beautiful golden coat. Tiger was not afraid of any animal in the jungle, except water buffalo. Water buffalo was big, strong, and had powerful horns on his head. One morning, Tiger saw water buffalo hooked to a plow and made to work in the fields. Tiger was confused. In fact, the strangest animal Tiger had ever seen was ordering around water buffalo. This little animal did not have claws or fangs. It did not even have a beautiful golden coat. At the end of the day, this strange little animal left when water buffalo's work was done. Tiger went to water buffalo and said, "Water buffalo, you have to tell me something." "What is it, Tiger?"
"Why do you work for that strange little animal? It does not have any claws or fangs, and it does not have a beautiful golden coat," said Tiger. Water buffalo shook his head and looked at Tiger. "You do not understand, Tiger. That animal is man, and he does not need claws or fangs or even a golden coat. Man has wisdom." Tiger thought and said, "So, this wisdom is why you work for man?" Water buffalo nodded his head. Tiger said, "Well, then, I must get some wisdom." Water buffalo just shook his head and walked away. The next morning, when man was on his way to work, Tiger jumped out and said, "Stop, man!" Man looked at Tiger and shook a little bit. "What do you want, Tiger?" "I know you have wisdom, and with your wisdom, you make water buffalo work for you. I want your wisdom. Give me your wisdom," said Tiger. Man looked at Tiger and said, "Tiger, wisdom is not something I can give you." Tiger just shook his head and said, "Yes, you can. Give me your wisdom, or I will eat you." Man thought and said, "Okay, no problem, Tiger. I will give you my wisdom, but I left it back at my house. I will go and get it." Man started to walk off, but changed his mind. He said to Tiger, "Oh, Tiger, mighty Tiger, I am afraid to go get you the wisdom. By the time I get back,
You will have eaten all my goats." Tiger said,
"Oh, I am not hungry now, so do not worry. Just go and get the wisdom."
"Oh, Tiger, mighty Tiger, if I go get the wisdom, you will get hungry and eat all of my goats. Would you mind if I tied you to this big tree, just by the tip of your tail? Then you cannot get to my goats," said Man. Tiger thought for a minute and said,
"Okay, Man, just tie the tip of my tail to the tree. Then go get the wisdom."
Man tied the tip of Tiger's tail to the tree, and again Man took a couple of steps and then turned around. Man said, "Oh, mighty Tiger, I am still afraid you may get hungry. Your powerful claws will cut the rope and you will eat all my goats."
"Look, Man, if it will make you feel better, tie my paws to the tree,"
spoke Tiger. So Tiger put his body against the tree, and Man took the rope and tied Tiger tightly to the tree.
"Now, go get my wisdom,"
said Tiger. Man left again, but turned back one more time and said, "Tiger, mighty Tiger, your head is so powerful. If you turn your mighty head, your mighty fangs will tear these ropes, and you will eat all my goats. Would you mind if I—"
"All right, already. Just tie my head to the tree,"
said Tiger. Behind Tiger's back, Man quietly led his goats away. Tiger waited all day. Many animals walked by and saw Tiger tied to the tree. Tiger told them to go away and proudly said,
"Man is bringing wisdom to me."
At last, Water Buffalo walked by and said, "Tiger, what have you gotten yourself into?" Water Buffalo just shook his head and walked away. Tiger waited and waited and waited.
I am getting a little hungry. Maybe I will eat just one of those goats.
Tiger turned his head and realized he was tied very tightly to the tree. Tiger yelled,
"Come back, Man! I am getting very hungry."
The more Tiger pulled away from the tree, the tighter the ropes dug into his fur. Tiger pulled, and he pulled, and he pulled. Finally, Tiger broke free. The ropes had burned stripes into his coat, and Tiger did not know this. Tiger looked around him and said,
"Where are all the goats? Where is Man? Where is my wisdom? I do not have wisdom, but I still have my claws, my fangs, and my beautiful golden coat."
Tiger was thirsty, so he went to the lake for a drink. When he saw himself in the water, Tiger screamed,
"Oh, my beautiful golden coat! It is covered with stripes."
All of the animals saw the stripes, but only Water Buffalo spoke. He said, "Hey, Tiger, nice stripes." Tiger, embarrassed by his stripes, slinks around and hides in the shadows. He is still searching for wisdom.
Okay, having listened to that and having known why the tiger has stripes on his or her coat, it's time for your assignment. And the first assignment is state the various genres of oral narratives. We have talked about them. We have said that they are about 6. If you feel that there is one that you left out, kindly add to your list. And the second activity is state the features of archaeological stories. If possible, you can give these features from the story or from the video that you just watched. And that, dear viewer, brings us to the end of our today's lesson. Have giraffe or why the tiger has stripes on her coat. It is also good that you could always give us your answer. You could always forward your story, an etiological story in that case, to our Facebook page, which is Elimu TV, or SMS us. Our number is 22518, or even follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is at Elimu_KE. I have been your teacher, Sally. See you next time where we have more stories and more packages for you.